Here's how I took this unfinished mess, pivoted my idea, and turned it into my dream asymmetric horror game. Stick around to see how one mistake almost derailed the entire project.
Face reveal. So I'm a huge fan of horror games, specifically Dead by Daylight. But my biggest problem with the game is that it's just hard to get into. Whenever I try playing with one of my friends, it usually goes like this.
Wait.
They don't get it, they just die over and over again, and then they quit. Clearly, there's only one way to get my friends to play with me. I need to make my own asymmetric horror game, with a more casual and fun experience.
Okay, here's my idea. There's a SWAT team raiding a house, but little do they know there's an evil monster lurking inside. It's completely dark, but the SWAT team has light sources like flashlights or lanterns. The monster can see in the dark, but gets burned by light, which makes it move slower and deal less damage. This creates an interesting aspect of gameplay, where the monster wants to lurk in the shadows and get surprise attacks, while the SWAT team wants to keep the lights on the monster. And throwing in some proximity voice chat shenanigans will add to the casual fun.
Fuck you, kid. You're adopted.
Let's get started. I started by modeling a SWAT guy. I'm very inexperienced with 3D modeling, but I decided to dive right in and get my hands dirty. It's an important skill to learn because using other people's models can be expensive, mismatched, and just not feel like your own creation. Luckily, following a YouTube tutorial, it took less time than expected. I then created a basic first-person controller with animations. I used Mixamo for a run cycle and idle animation, and I kept the top half of the player static, holding a gun and flashlight wherever he looks.
Next, I set up a very basic multiplayer system, where you can create and join a lobby locally. However, to make this work online, I'll be using Steam, which means I have to postpone this until my Steam page is up and running. Instead, I decided to set up the environment. I wanted a procedurally generated mansion with winding hallways and branching rooms. Initially, I randomly created rooms and connected them, but it looked too random, like the back rooms. I wanted this to look more like a house. So, I wrote a method to generate more natural-looking hallways and rooms. To do this, I used a two-dimensional array to track the placement of each room, like a grid. To create the rooms, I invoke a recursive function that instantiates the room object.
So we've got the rooms looking pretty good, but now we need a monster. Something really scary and spooky. Something that will make you go, "Whoa." I started modeling in Blender, taking inspiration from Siren Head for the body, and I made this creepy smiling face. I gave him some animations, and I slapped him right into Unity. Now, I know what you must be saying. Wow, Zach, you already have all the players modeled and animated, and you've set up local multiplayer? You're making some really good progress, right? The problem began when I imported the monster into the game. This guy is just not scary when you're the same size as him. So I decided to make him bigger than the player, which definitely gives him more of a scary vibe. But if he's bigger, now the environment has to be bigger as well to accommodate him. This is a problem. But I did what any good game dev would do, and I ignored the problem and moved on. Eventually, I came back to my Steam page, but I hit a brick wall. What's the name of my game? If you've seen either of my previous two games, you probably know that I'm not exactly a prophet when it comes to name creation, and I don't think Scary Game is going to cut it this time. So I decided to list some of the main elements of my game and try to make a name that combines them all. Let's see. There are SWAT members and a monster in a mansion. Also, the monster and mansion are very big. But wait, why are they big? Did someone construct a giant house specifically for an evil monster? Why would a SWAT team be raiding a giant mansion with a giant monster? Or maybe the monster's regular sized and the SWAT team is tiny. But what made them tiny? And yet again, why are they raiding a mansion with a monster? And suddenly, after sinking hours and hours into this project, it hit me. I realized something that many game devs will have to face at least once throughout their careers. My game makes no sense. It felt like my whole world was crashing down on me. Would I have to scrap the project completely, or was there some way to salvage some of my work?
After a lot of thinking and reflecting on my life, I came up with the idea that instead of a SWAT team, there are voodoo dolls whose souls were trapped by the evil monster. They have to explore the mansion to get power-ups and eventually get revenge on the monster. This idea justified making the players small, and it gave the game a lot of identity, Plus, I get to keep a lot of my work, but I will have to redo my player model and script.
Let's start making a voodoo doll. The shape was pretty simple. The only problem was getting these goddamn stitches to follow the doll in the correct way. After working on it for what seemed like years and asking ChatGPT 100,000 questions, YouTube randomly recommended me a 2.5 minute video that solved everything. I also added some accessories for the dolls, different faces, and backpacks. The idea is that each backpack comes with a different light source and different bonuses. For example, if you choose the lantern backpack, you gain increased visibility. But if you choose the traveler's backpack, then you can hold extra items but have reduced visibility. I added the new model into the game and created a new third-person controller with new animations. And let me just say, I am much happier with this new model than the old janky-looking SWAT guy. Since I was on a roll with my 3D modeling, I decided to start modeling more furniture for the hallways. I modeled a few objects for each type of room and brought them into Unity. I made the furniture line up with the walls, and with a very simple script to randomize furniture, I can now easily add new furniture without having to change any existing code. So far, I've made 4 hallway environments: an ancient-looking marble hallway with pillars and sculptures, a fancy modern hallway with black marble and gold, an older-looking wooden hallway with bookshelves and paintings, and a creepy stone dungeon with metal bars.
And that wraps up the progress I've made so far. I really like the way the game looks, so next I'm going to start working on the online multiplayer and developing the core gameplay. I'd love to keep working on this project and expanding my channel, so if you'd like to show your support, like the video, stay tuned for more, and wishlist the game on Steam. I've named it Voodoom, and the game is linked in the description below. Thanks for watching.